Hello everybody, and welcome back to another long-form review. Today I am going to be going over the entire Halloween franchise. Shout out to Jay Tinsel for telling me to do this, but also I'm not taking any more requests for long-form reviews after this point because these things take fucking forever. And I got a lot of different franchises I want to get to. So let's jump into the franchise belonging to everybody's favorite aura farming serial killer, starting with the first movie. Alright, the original Halloween. Without going point by point here, let's do the pros and cons of this movie. Pros. First off, the music is good. I mean, it's iconic for a reason. It really does carry the movie from a mood standpoint when Dr. Loomis doesn't take it with him.
Shouldn't we go on up to the hospital and...
Wait.
So I think the setup is great. I mean, Myers stalking the town is very spooky. It's intended to be. And don't crucify me for this, but I think it goes on a little too long. It's just a little too boring. I like the use of shadows in this movie. I think that's really cool. Something you don't actually see a lot later in the franchise. Now let's get into the cons. The first person portion of the intro is kinda goofy as fuck, but that final shot is pretty good. I don't think they were supposed to show this part. She's looking at him. She's looking right at him. What does she see? None of the characters outside of Michael or Loomis are interesting in the slightest, and they get a ton of screen time. Again, don't crucify me for this, but in this movie, Laurie Strode is kind of fucking boring, and so is every other one of the teenagers. They're like not even characters. They're like templates. Obviously in this movie, if you didn't know, Michael Myers chases Laurie Strode. On two different occasions, Laurie has a knife and she throws it away. I mean, you would think she'd learn after the first time. They also show Michael's face, which I think is a terrible creative choice, and 90% of the sequels would agree with that. It's like a cardinal Michael Myers sin, and it's just in the first movie.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact,
And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I think Dr. Loomis is a total edgelord. I'm not saying he's a bad character. In fact, like I said, him and Michael are the only characters that are interesting to me, but they really could have toned it down. Sometimes he can be really annoying. So overall, I want to like this movie. I do. But the second half is just too slow. The pace doesn't build. It remains the same from start to finish until it suddenly blows up in the last 20 minutes. Like, it doesn't escalate. It goes from creepy and eerie to climax. And again, it would help a lot if the characters with screen time were actually interesting. So overall, I'm giving this movie a 5 out of 10. The intro is equal parts scary and nonsensical. They do another first-person scene, but this one's a bit better. However, there's a couple weird moments I want to point out. So Michael walks into this old lady's house, and look, I have a soft spot for old ladies. Killing old ladies for me is the same as those people that check doesthedogdie.com when the dog does in fact die. So this scene made me nervous, but it's a good thing that Michael just fucking dips out, but that leaves me confused because why? It's not like Michael shares the same soft spot I do. It's not like he couldn't kill her. It's not like he has somewhere else to be. And he ends up killing the next door neighbor immediately after. So why not her? It kind of just seemed out of character. And I know Michael Myers like spares people occasionally, but usually there is some sort of good reason to it. So Michael goes into this old lady's house, takes her knife, and she seems to notice that somebody took her knife once she gets blood on her hands, and she screams because she's got blood on her hands and she doesn't know where it came from. I mean, it's normal. And that's when the aforementioned neighbor runs out and asks if she's okay, and she gets no response. So then she goes back into her house and does nothing. She heard her neighbor scream. She runs outside, says,
Are you okay?
no response, goes back inside, continues her day. If she didn't care, why did she run out in the first place? Usually, if you ask somebody if they're okay and you don't get a response back, you go check on them or you call for help. Like, what the hell is the point of this scene? These are nitpicks for sure, but these little things, they break my immersion and they drive me crazy. They drive me crazy. I'm crazy now. This shot rules.
Well, I sure could go for a pizza now. Nice big one with sausage, onions, peppers. But no mushrooms. I hate mushrooms.
Yeah, well, we hate you too, buddy. Then there's a scene where this girl thinks Michael is somebody else, and Michael is low-key kind of into this. He seems to be digging this attention. There's also a scene where Michael writes Sam Ain in blood, and just like how the original showing Michael's face kind of undermines that eeriness of him being this faceless entity, him writing a word in blood also completely undermines the fact that he doesn't speak. Like, what's the point? So this chase scene with Lori in the hospital starts off a little goofy, but I think it's really well done otherwise. This shit is goofy. Now watch this scene.
Take it!
Now watch this scene. It was established early on that there were fucking babies in this hospital. Hope their sacrifice was worth it. Overall, I think the location in this movie is a really creepy setting. The film is shot incredibly, and this movie doesn't really have all the build-up the first movie had. In other words, this movie is more of what I liked about the original and less of what I didn't like about the original. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6 out of 10. And that brings the franchise up to a 5.5 out of 10.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
This is the only Halloween movie that doesn't feature Michael Myers. Mikey had to sit this one out, take a breather, regain his strength. Meet Dr. Dan, the man that doesn't wear underwear. This movie is about him, and for the most part, a young woman named Ellie, uncovering an evil plot by the owner of a Halloween mask-making factory guarded by robots to use Stonehenge to turn kids into piles of snakes and bugs. But the most unbelievable part of this movie is Dr. Dan's mask-throwing skills. I gotta say, this movie is creepy, it's disturbing, it's an all-around solid film, very Halloween-y, and I'm giving it a high 7 out of 10, and that brings the franchise up to a 6 out of 10. So the intro to this movie was somehow both boring as shit and overdramatic. A quite impressive pair. Here's a scene of a doctor literally getting poked to death. What led to this scene was that Michael learned he had a niece, and that just pissed him the fuck off.
Did Hoffman say anything about living relatives?
Yeah, a niece living in his hometown.
Ooh, I'm gonna get that bitch. In this timeline, Lori's dead, and Mr. Myers is after her daughter. Also, look at this goofy-ass mask. Looking like he's bringing mac and cheese to the potluck. Meanwhile, Loomis is walking around with a giant nipple on his face, and he's using Yosemite Sam's gun.
God damn you.
There's also the scene where they get away on a truck, only to reveal that Michael Myers was under the car, holding himself up with one fucking hand until the time was right to start going Indiana Jones on the people in the truck. After that scene, Myers gets hit with the truck and then shot to hell. Literally shot to hell, like the ground opens up and swallows him. So the ending is actually pretty cool. Jamie ends up killing her mother, which mirrors what Michael Myers did when he was a kid. He got his first kill, as if whatever possessed him is now possessing her. It would have been cooler if she killed Rachel, her sister, but whatever. It would have also been cool if she became the series' new killer, but nope. You know, we got more Michael movies that I'm so excited to watch. But seriously, it would have been a really cool and interesting way for the series to go, to now have Jamie as the new Michael Myers. Anyway, other than this ending, this movie was a total fucking snooze fest. If I went into every nitpick I had with this movie, this section of the review would be an hour alone. But I will say this movie feels soulless. No charm, no originality, the writing is generic, and it doesn't seem like it made it past draft 1. Oh, and as a cherry on top, the colors are bland. It sucks. This movie feels like it was written and directed by Michael Myers himself. But to be honest, I mean, all this is expected out of the movie that's too lazy to keep using Roman numerals. I give this film a 2 out of 10, and that brings the franchise back down to a 5 out of 10. This movie opens up with the last movie. They show how Michael died in the last movie, and then they showed him crawl out of the hole they shot him into and then swim down a river. We also see this little mark on Michael's wrist. I'll touch on that later. Anyway, Michael surviving the shootout makes the scene where Jamie kills her mother completely nonsensical. Anyway, her mother survived the attack, or it was just a dream. I'm not really sure. She's mute now. She doesn't talk. And also, she has a psychic connection with Michael Myers now. That happens. Yeah, you can tell they're running out of ideas. Can I play you a scene about 17 and a half minutes in? It's a rhetorical question. I'm going to play it for you.
Find that out.
All clear.
Nothing above, nothing below.
I didn't add those sound effects in. Those are there. I had to watch it twice to make sure it wasn't some random sound on my computer. Apparently this is a pretty hated thing in the Halloween community.
What about Max?
Adobe, right?
This is not happening to me. Max! Max, what have you done? I'm so embarrassed.
It's what we're here for.
Rescue cats.
Find dogs.
That's our job.
And we love it.
Who fucking thought this was a good idea? Whose idea was this? That's actually insane. Also, Michael pervs on Rachel, dude. Every time she takes her top off, which is at least a third, if not half of her screen time, Michael is always in the background like... Then she dies not even 20 minutes into the movie. This film loves making terrible decisions. So Mikey shows up and tries to kill Jamie in broad daylight. So to get away from him, she runs into a scary tunnel where no adult is and nobody can hear her scream, which is actually anywhere, because she's mute. Anyway, she's saved because the adults went to look for her in the scary death tunnel. Michael kills this other guy named Michael, and I'm convinced the only reason this guy's name was Michael was for this scene.
Michael, open the door.
Real clever, 3 writers. So this girl Tina almost dies, but Jamie uses her psychic connection with Michael to see through his eyes and tip off Dr. Loomis. But this is hard because she's a mute, you know? She has to try so hard to form simple words, and it takes so much time to get the location. But luckily, the cops show up on the dot right before she's murdered. And now Jamie can talk fine. Yeah, no reason for her to be mute anymore, so she can just fucking talk now. Oh my god, that's so frustrating. It's a nitpick, it's a pet peeve, but oh my god, for the sake of the plot. It's for the sake of the plot. It doesn't make any sense, it's for the sake of the plot. Fuck you, 3 writers. Fuck you. So Tina's like, thanks for saving me. And then she leaves, and then she dies. Just kidding, it's actually just a cringe-inducing fake-out scene. Then Tina gets fake-out killed again. Just kidding. She actually dies this time. Loomis and Jamie go back to the Myers house, which apparently has stained glass windows now. Somebody fire the script supervisor, or the location scout, or both, or everybody involved with this movie, and don't make this movie. Can we go back in time and not make this movie? In this same scene, Loomis reasons with Michael, and it works. It works. Why didn't we think of that? Why didn't we think about reasoning with Michael Myers? That would have saved so much death and time. Oh, you know what? I know why. Probably because it's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid, and it's out of character for Michael to be reasonable. So obviously that doesn't last long, but luckily Loomis was wearing his lucky set of plot armor, and Michael and Jamie go on this little cat and mouse. But Michael catches up as he usually does. Say uncle.
Uncle?
Obviously this doesn't last long, and Loomis comes to save the day by activating his Scooby-Doo trap. So Michael Myers goes to jail, but the Benadryl Hat Man breaks him out. I'm not even kidding. This movie gets another 2 out of 10, and that brings the franchise to a 4.4 out of 10. So just like A Nightmare on Elm Street, this franchise ran out of ideas, so they decided to show us a woman giving birth. They're taking breathe new life into the franchise a little too literally. We find out that the woman giving birth is actually a grown-up Jamie.
That way.
What? I don't understand what the fuck they just said. Where did they film this? The Noise Factory? Was this film made by Big Caption? No, seriously, what is this place supposed to be? We just saw Jamie give birth here, and now this blonde girl that seemingly knows just enough about how to get out of here is just randomly wandering this vague location like she doesn't know where she's going, just so Michael can show up and shove her head into this conveniently placed kill spike. A couple laughably bad scenes later, and we're introduced to Paul Rudd's character. Yes, Paul Rudd. This was actually his first movie, kinda. Not by release date, but production-wise, this was his first movie. Anyway, he plays a guy that's creepily stalking a half-naked lady. He's also Tommy Doyle, the little kid from the original movie. And of course, Loomis is here. He's retired by the countryside, which makes no sense for his character given that Michael Myers was bust out of jail in the last movie and Jamie seemingly went missing. It's not like you can just move on from that. So he just decided to stop giving a shit? I mean, come on, that's not in his character. His whole character is giving a shit about Michael Myers specifically. Anyway, once Jamie gets free, she calls emergency services. Just kidding. She doesn't. That's stupid. Why'd you think she would do that? She actually calls the radio station that Loomis just so happens to be listening to and asks him to help her. Anyway, Michael is hot on her tail. Me when I'm looking for a public stall not filled to the brim with shit. So Jamie books it to a barn, where she makes sure to calmly sit down and face away from the entrance, so that Michael can easily murder her. Thankfully, the baby gets away. So Loomis feels that the woman pleading for his help was Jamie, and suddenly feels that Michael is still alive. So he comes out of retirement. Then there's this family. They're the new Strode family. There's also this random evil man that's telling this little boy to kill people. Oh, this movie is a fucking train wreck, dude. Paul Rudd finds Jamie's baby, and instead of letting somebody know, he takes it for himself. Then he bumps into Loomis at the hospital and is like, hey, this is Jamie's baby. This whole scene doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, Paul Rudd originally goes to the hospital and is like, I need a doctor for my baby. And the lady is all like, what's wrong with it? And then Paul Rudd says, give me a doctor! Which is dumb because it was a simple question that he should have expected. But then the nurse calls security. Think for a moment. Just think for one moment, please, about what you would do in this situation. Personally, I would assume the baby is in need of urgent care and I would get a doctor. But even if you think that Ant-Man here is just some raving lunatic, you should still get a doctor to get the baby away from him. Anyway, this was a nitpick, so let's move on, but still. So Loomis breaks into the Strode house.
I'm very sorry, Mrs. Strode. Is everything all right?
Who are you?
I came to help your family.
No, yeah, that scene is perfectly fine. Every fiber of my being wants to state the obvious, but I'll refrain. So Loomis warns her that Michael Myers is going to show up at her house, but it doesn't really matter, because as soon as she suspects that he has, instead of running out the front door and making distance, she decides to answer the phone. And after a little conversation, she runs to the backyard where Michael's waiting with an axe. Anyway, Paul Rudd names the baby Steven, and then follows the Strode boy home. Then the mother comes home to find this weirdo in her son's room with a baby, telling her that she's in danger. These people are seriously way too trusting of random people that break into their house. So remember that symbol that was on Michael's hand? Yeah, that thing I said I'd get back to during the last movie? Paul Rudd explains that the symbol is a rune that means thorn, and represents an ancient demon that possesses somebody and murders their kin on Halloween, explaining away all of Michael Myers' charm and ominous vibe. But that's not all that sucks about this. You're telling me that in all the countless years that Loomis has been studying Michael Myers, he never saw this symbol, encountered any of these creepy dudes, or figure any of this out himself. This movie just retconned his IQ. Okay, this is a cool shot. 1 point, this movie. Something I want to note. None of the kills in this movie are memorable in the slightest. Michael Myers is like really phoning it in. He's showing up just for the paycheck. You're making a slasher movie, dude. Like, look, I'm an asshole. I expect a lot out of every movie, but like, for the average slasher fan, it's like the one thing they give a shit about, and you're still sucking. So let's move on to something more interesting. Tits. This set of pumpkins belongs to Beth, played by Mariah O'Brien. Her boyfriend goes to shower. During the scene, it's to be believed that Beth has died while Tim is in the shower, and not knowing his girlfriend is dead, he asks her to bring him a towel, which first of all, dude, you're a grown man, get yourself a fucking towel. But more importantly, Michael Myers gives him a towel. Why? Why? Do you seriously expect me to believe that Michael Myers has better shower etiquette than Norman Bates? I don't think so. Anyway, after he dies, we see that Beth is actually still alive, so I don't know why she didn't hear him ask for a towel. He was asking pretty loudly, but after she dies, the little boy decides to go into the murder house. Look, I mean, a bunch of other stupid, boring shit happens, but let's just skip to the end. I mean, what is it all building up to? Turns out an evil cult has been controlling Michael Myers. That's right, he's not some vaguely supernatural evil being, he's a tragic puppet controlled by a villain that's incredibly less interesting. So anyway, Paul Rudd uses magical runes to stop Michael Myers and they all escape. Then Dr. Loomis gets cursed, so bad that it killed his fucking actor. Rest in peace, Donald Pleasance. Never once was his performance a negative on this franchise. Yeah, this movie comes dangerously close to a 2 out of 10, which would have been a good thing for it because I'm giving it a 1 out of 10, and that brings the franchise down to a 3.83 out of 10. So here is where the timeline splits. So as you guys know, Halloween 3 exists within its own continuity, and then the rest of them is just one series of events. Well, this movie actually takes place 20 years after Halloween 2 and ignores the events of Halloween 4 through 6. This is where the franchise becomes a sort of choose-your-own-adventure game. So the movie starts with one of those opening scenes where a character, unrelated to the story, is killed by Michael Myers alongside Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But I want to nitpick here. She called the cops and told them that somebody had broken into her house, but they take their sweet time showing up. This is addressed with this,
So much for the cops.
which is a not so clever way of saying, don't think so hard about this movie. Of course, she dies as they get there, and Detective Exposition shows up on the crime scene to info dump. We don't see him again for the rest of the movie. And of course, it wouldn't be a true Halloween sequel without a Michael Myers name drop every other sentence. But then after that horrendous intro, we're back to our gal Laurie Strode. She has a kid now. Also, they live in California. Anyway, there's this scene where a mom and her daughter are in a rest stop bathroom, and personally, I think it's one of the most suspenseful scenes in the franchise so far. The pacing in the scene is phenomenal. Oh, and this is Ronnie. He brings light to my life. So Michael sneaks on campus. Oh yeah, this takes place at a school. And he kills, and then he gets the shit beat out of him. And that leads to this scene, which is once again incredibly suspenseful. And then that part where Laurie and Michael come face to face is just the cherry on top. This is such a cool scene. I love this scene. Then this dude starts shooting at what he thinks is Michael, but ends up killing Ronnie. No! Ronnie! So I'm sure that any Halloween fan is familiar with Michael's iconic sit-up. This movie tries to do that, but this is the result. This actually looks so fucking silly. I don't know how they went with this take. Like, did they not notice? Did they not care? So Laurie sends her son and girlfriend off to get help, but she stays behind to confront Michael and make sure he doesn't follow them. He, of course, was waiting for her on the fucking ceiling. So they tango, Laurie supposedly kills Michael, and then Ronnie turns out to be alive. Yay! But Laurie is not convinced that he's dead, so she kidnaps him in a van. As expected, he comes back to life. She steps on the brakes, he goes out the window, she runs him over off a cliff, and then the van falls on him, then the van catches fire, and then Laurie beheads him. Pretty badass. Alright, so let's go over some quick pros and cons of this movie because I'm a little torn, starting with the cons. The dialogue. There's a good deal of dialogue in this movie that is very poorly written, especially in the beginning. It's very info-dumpy. Secondly, this movie is not very Halloween-y. A lot of aesthetic charm of the original comes from the autumn look, the costumes, the pumpkins. It was titled Halloween for a reason. Michael Myers aside, if this movie didn't constantly remind you that it's Halloween, you wouldn't be able to tell. Laurie's son got a lot of screen time in the beginning, only to essentially turn into a plot device halfway through. Right after I watched this movie, as I was writing the script for this review, I already forgot his name. His character just goes nowhere, which would have been fine if he was a background character from the start, but he hogs up so much screen time, and again, he just goes nowhere. And finally, we see too much of Michael's eyes. And this is a nitpick for sure, but it does take away from his menacing appearance. So now let's go over the pros. The dialogue. So this movie's pretty weird when it comes to dialogue because, like I said, there's a lot of it that's bad. But I believe the other half of it is written pretty well and believably. Now, it's not S-tier dialogue, but for a Halloween film, I was impressed. Ronnie and Ronnie surviving. The pacing of this movie was amazing. This movie is somewhat of a slow burn, much like the original film, but unlike the original film, it's far from boring. This movie just flows so well. In the first two movies, I think Laurie Strode is just one of the most boring final girls across the slasherverse, but this movie, in my opinion, is the movie that made her interesting. Her character development in this movie makes her iconic in her own right, as opposed to being a nepo baby because of her famous brother. And to end it on a positive nitpick, the reprise of the Halloween theme is incredible. It's creepy like the original, but it's also very cinematic, I just like it. Overall, I think the pros massively outweigh the cons. I thought this movie was a great return to form for the franchise, and it was a real fun watch. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. The franchise goes up to a 4.29 out of 10.
Hit you with no delaying, so what you saying, yo? Silly with my 9 milli with the dilly, yo. When I be on the mic, yes, I do my duty, yo. While up in the club like we while in the studio.
So how does Michael Myers return after getting hit by a van, having a van fall on him, and then being beheaded? Well, it turns out it wasn't Michael Myers, but it was a paramedic that Michael Myers injured and then put his mask on. Oh, but Caleb, why doesn't the paramedic say anything to Laurie? Well, you see, Michael gave his throat a real good squeeze. Oh, clever, right? But here's why that doesn't make any fucking sense. First of all, his body language was not that of a confused, innocent person. He was clearly trying to kill Laurie, and at no point does he take the fucking mask off. In fact, there's a point in which he makes sure it's still on. Secondly, this guy got thrown out of a van, ran over by a van, and he's somehow still alive up until Laurie beheads him. That's not something that some rando could have lived through. Also, did the paramedics that took the body to begin with not bother to check his pulse before tossing him into a body bag? Like, give me a break. It would have made more sense if they went the Friday the 13th route and just made him a fucking zombie. I would have much rather zombie Michael Myers than this bullshit cop-out. Anyway, this movie begins with Laurie being institutionalized, and here's why that sucks. At the end of the last movie, she has finally slain Michael. It's this big triumphant victory for her character. Now they rug pull us with this bullshit, undermining the entire development of the last movie. Not to mention, she still has a son. You expect me to believe she is going to allow herself to be institutionalized while Michael roams around looking for her kid? Also, we're only 5 minutes into this movie, by the way. So Michael shows up in the institution, does some laundry, and then goes after Laurie, who leads him into a fucking Scooby-Doo trap. That's when Michael pretends to not be Michael, like he's another dud, to lure her closer, and this works for some reason, which results in Michael jabbing his knife into her, and that's when Laurie gives him a little smooch. I don't really know why she does this, but it feels so out of place. I don't know if they were going for like the whole nemeses need each other, Batman and Joker sort of thing. But that doesn't really work for these two. Maybe Loomis and Myers, but I doubt Loomis would be kissing Michael. It's just awkward and weird. It's just an awkward and weird moment. Now this movie has its good moments. One moment. This moment. So this movie is a blend of that classic Halloween slasher and found footage. Yeah, oh, and Michael Myers is caught on camera multiple times right at the time when people stop watching them, as if he could tell when they look away from the cameras. So the premise is a bunch of people are cast on an internet show to explore the Myers house, where Michael, in true Michael fashion, stalks and kills them. All the while, the host and producers of the show try to scare them. Ooh. None of the characters are interesting. This guy's the worst. His entire character revolves around being a chef. damn near every line that he has is somehow food related. It's like his character was written by a first grader. I do, however, enjoy this scene where an actor dressed like Michael is looking for somebody to scare and then the real Michael is following behind him. That was pretty fun and really clever. A bunch of lame shit happens, and then Busta Rhymes attempts to fight Michael Myers using Kung Fu. And it works. So that's pretty epic. But Michael doesn't stay down. Some more lame shit happens. The building catches fire, and then Busta Rhymes saves the day with some more Kung Fu. It's cheesy, it's corny, it actually kinda sucks, but I'm a fan of this. Alright, so let's do pros and cons with this movie. Again, starting with the pros. Busta Rhymes using Kung Fu. But outside of that, Michael's presence in this film was actually really good. He was intimidating, he seemed to be having fun, and if he's having fun, I can't help but to have fun as well. Cons, everything else about this movie. Everything else about this movie sucked. So look, the premise was actually kind of cool. The execution was just dog water. This movie is just one big cringe fest, and I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. And that brings the franchise to a solid 4 out of 10. So this movie actually depicts Michael being raised in like a broken home, you know, very serial killery, and I honestly think this could have been a very fascinating direction. Could have been. I mean, to start, the opening is just riddled with cliches. This doesn't feel like an actual broken household, but rather what someone who grew up nice and spoiled thinks a broken household is like. I'm not familiar with Rob Zombie, maybe he was raised in a broken household, but he sure can't fucking write like it. And if I had $1 for every time somebody made a sexual comment, I'd have enough money to make this movie. Not to mention the word fuck is used at least 3 times in every sentence. And if you know me, you know I like saying fuck. But this movie uses it so excessively, it feels like a middle schooler wrote it. And I'm still not even done critiquing the intro, because even if you fix the dialogue and make the scenes and characters more believable, Michael's character is not very Michael Myers-y. And look, I'm not against giving him an origin story, and I'm not even against giving him a few speaking lines, but this kid is fucking talkative, dude. I might be inclined to believe he'll turn out to be a serial killer, but it's a stretch to say he's going to become Michael Myers. And it's a nitpick, but I also think it's silly that he's wearing a Kiss t-shirt. If I was directing this film, I think I'd probably opt to give him something more generic. I don't really feel like Michael Myers is the type to hold any opinions on music. Oh, and both Judith and Deborah have shitty actors. There's also a lot of weird line delivery throughout the movie, but I'm gonna refrain from pointing it out every time, because we'd be here for fucking ever. As far as Deborah goes, Rob likes to cast his wife in things, so of course, some of that weird line delivery stems from her.
Ma, Judith is wasting all my time.
I really shouldn't even let you go after that shit you pulled today at school.
Oh, Ma, please.
All right, Michael, calm down. You know, tomorrow things are gonna change around here, so I suggest you live it up tonight.
But don't worry, she makes up for it when we see her strip, which is intercut with her child. I mean, like, this is such a weird fucking choice, dude. It's kind of gross. You know what's also a weird fucking choice? The reason Michael is sitting all sadly on the curb here with his mask off is because nobody would take him trick-or-treating. But do you know what I think a young Michael Myers would be doing instead of moping around? He would rejoice at his lack of supervision, because now he gets to put that mask on and go find another victim. But for some reason they want Michael to be a normal little kid with a quirky dark side, as opposed to showing us an actually disturbed child that would grow up to be Michael Myers. I feel like I see this trend in a lot of Rob Zombie films too, is it's not like accurate to its own characters. Like, this is already an established franchise that Rob Zombie is sort of imprinting on, but like even in Rob Zombie's own movies, it feels like instead of taking his characters to a natural direction, he kind of lives like his sort of fantasy life through them, you know? It's very amateurish. They all give off the vibe of like, yeah, I'm a middle-aged man, and I think it'd be cool if I was a serial killer, and this is how I would be if I was a serial killer, because I would be cool. That's the kind of vibe this movie and all of Rob Zombie's movies give out. We're not even 15 minutes into the movie, by the way. Now, once the kid actually starts acting like Michael Myers, we get a cool sequence. But nitpick alert, this Michael has a really bad habit of taking the mask off for just whatever reason, and it pulls me out of it. Like, no, there's no good reason for him to take the mask off so much. They also have him wearing the actual Michael Myers mask when he kills Judith, which also pulls me out of the sequence because it just looks so goofy. If they just had him keep the clown mask on from start to finish without taking it off, this would have been one of the best scenes in the franchise. Like, this sequence was so good otherwise, but of course, poor direction. Then we see Michael go through being institutionalized, and it isn't great, but it isn't bad either. If there was a stronger start to back this part up, it would be good character development. Oh, also, Loomis is his doctor. Oh, also, Michael kills a nurse with a fork because for some reason they let him have sharp metal objects. Then his mom kills herself. Then we get a 15-year time jump. Michael, of course, goes mute, and Loomis retires as his caretaker. Nitpick, if they were going to emphasize the devil's eyes absent of light, maybe don't have a light reflected in them. Like, we see Michael's eyes, and it's not absent of light. It would be so easy to do. Like, it would be so easy not to have light reflected in his eye. In fact, a lot of filmmakers go out of their way to add that effect. So Michael breaks out and he begins his killing spree. And you know what? Something I began to notice at this point in the franchise is this franchise has a lot of bathroom scenes. Specifically, a lot of bathroom stall scenes. If any of you are planning on binging the franchise anytime soon, come back to this video and comment how many fucking bathroom scenes and bathroom stall scenes there are. It's like a noticeable amount. It's like Tim Burton and Barbers. Now we see modern day Laurie Strode, who was like a baby when Michael was a kid, and she's grown up in a privileged household. And remember in the beginning when I was all like, that first scene kind of seems like somebody that doesn't know what a broken household is. Well, this scene made me realize that both of these scenes are written by someone that doesn't know what a household is like. I swear to God, this movie makes me think Rob Zombie popped into existence in a studio apartment. Now, I may have thought that Laurie and her friends were dreadfully boring in the original movie, but Laurie and her friends in this movie are dreadfully annoying, which is 2 times worse. I like the new Tommy, though. That knife is not that big. Loomis tracks down Michael with about a quarter of the doomsayer charm the original had, and also the way he describes Michael only really applies to the original Michael and not this Michael. Makes me think that Rob Zombie thinks he's making a Michael similar to the original one, which is not the case. Michael finds Laurie and kidnaps her and then shows her some baby photos like, "This is us." And Laurie, of course, doesn't understand, so she stabs him in the shoulder. This ticks him off, but Loomis comes to save the day. Then we get a really boring 15 minutes, followed by a decently cool last minute. And that's the movie. Now look, I have no issue with this interpretation of Michael Myers. In fact, I think it was a really cool and unique direction to take the character. I think that's what reboots should strive to do. So it's a shame that this movie fucking sucks. Because this movie fucking sucks. And I'm giving it a 3 out of 10, and that brings the franchise to a 3.89 out of 10.
Drive, conductor, drive. White knuckles on the wheel and the smell of black coal.
Thankfully, Mr. Zombie doesn't bombard us with 20 minutes of juvenile sex jokes this time, but he still overuses the word fuck. So throughout the movie, there's this recurring symbolism of white horses, and it's just so forced. It's like Rob Zombie just learned what symbolism is, and he shoehorned it into the movie to try to be deep. It's so forced, in fact, that they prep you on it before the movie even starts, just so you don't miss it. And never does he let it show up in the background without a character bringing it to attention. Like, he wants you to know that there's white horses here, and that it's a metaphor for some shit. It's so fucking cringy, dude. Also, Michael has these weird hallucinations of his dead mother, which irks me for 3 reasons. 1, it kind of just seems like the only reason he included this was to give his wife a role since he killed her off in the last one. 2, it's Jason's thing. You're trying to get Michael Myers to copycat the guy that copycatted Michael Myers. That is a fucking crazy low. And 3, Laurie can also see them, so either A, they have a shared hallucination, or B, she's actually a ghost. And I can't decide which is fucking stupider. And another negative thing I noticed while watching this movie regarding both of the Rob Zombie movies, I feel like he doesn't understand how to make a movie suspenseful. All the characters that are going to survive are clearly going to survive, and all the characters that are going to die are going to die. It doesn't leave room for, oh my god, are they gonna make it? Because it's always clear from the beginning whether or not they are. And either way, I don't even really care if they do. Ironically, the character I seem to care the most about is Michael, and the therapy scenes are cringe and hard to watch. Also in this movie, the new Loomis is not only lacking the charm of the original, but is also completely unlikable. And the Lori is not only annoying, but is also completely unlikable. Also, for the majority of time we see him, Michael Myers doesn't even look like Michael Myers. He's just some big homeless dude. Also, to make matters worse, watch this shit.
Michael, for God in heaven.
He talks? What? That is genuine character assassination right there. Why would you have him talk? Oh my god. Dude, who gave this guy the movie? Who let this guy make another one? And I don't care how you justify it. The ending is stupid. The ending is stupid. Go ahead and try to justify it in the comments, and I'll tell you why that doesn't matter and why it's fucking stupid. And of course, just like the last movie, there's just too many moments that had me put my face in my palms to recount in this video. On a positive note, Weird Al's in this movie, and it's getting a 1 out of 10. And that brings the franchise to a 3.6 out of 10. So this movie also messes with the timeline, so this movie is a direct sequel to the original Halloween 40 years later. So the timeline branches off like this. So the movie starts off with Michael in this sort of mental hospital, and some reporters show up to interview him, and they bring like the Michael Myers mask, and the reporter holds it up to him and is like, "Say something, say something!" And Michael just stands there like this. Laurie Strode is now paranoid, living on a secluded property with locks and gates galore. Her daughter thinks she's a kook and wants nothing to do with her, but her granddaughter Allison still invites her to a thing, which she comes to. The night before Halloween, Michael is being transferred, and we all know how that goes. So yeah, the state's making us transfer Michael Myers. Okay. Let's do that as close to Halloween as we can. Michael suits up and the movie truly begins. I gotta say, the cinematography and blocking are absolute gems in this movie. Like, the kill sequences in this movie, mwah, they are fucking phenomenal. They also gave a lot of children a lot of superb dialogue. And then there's this part right here.
Get out of here! Now! Get inside!
They always say this in Halloween movies, like, get inside, lock your doors, but like, inside is actually where Michael does most of his killing. I think people are probably safer outside, among crowds. So while Michael is out prowling around, Laurie moves her family into a secret bunker underneath her kitchen. Michael, of course, eventually shows up, but Laurie has got a Michael-proof house. This leads to just an incredibly epic sequence. I mean, Laurie is clearing rooms, shutting gates, and by process of elimination, she finds Michael. It's suspenseful, it's so cool, and then they tango. Michael kind of kicks her ass, but then she pulls the disappearing trick on him. Oh my god, ooh, this tickles my fancy. This tickles my fancy. But Michael finds the secret passageway to the basement to get Allison and her mom, but then the mom shoots his ass after doing like this cool fake out thing. Then Laurie comes out of the shadows and starts stabbing the fucker. Tango part 2. She kicks his ass down the stairs of the basement, then Allison and her mother flee up to the kitchen. Then here is the fucking saw twist ending, the cherry on top, dude. The basement stairway is blocked with spikes. Laurie activates the fire trap, and we learn that the house wasn't supposed to be Michael-proof. The house was a Michael trap. He's trapped in the basement, the house is on fire, Michael Myers is engulfed by flames, Laurie's a fucking badass. I mean, this movie's amazing, alright? This movie's amazing. There's a lot of funny scenes, a lot of really cool murder sequences, a lot of really clever callbacks, fan service, and above all else, this movie, in my opinion, is the definitive Laurie Strode movie. This is H20 Laurie Strode times 10. Again, in my opinion, in the original Halloween, Laurie Strode is like a nothing protagonist to me. But this film, swear to God, makes her a top 5 final girl. Might even be number 1. Her and Nancy are in competition. Yeah, this movie gets an 8 out of 10. And this puts the franchise back at a solid 4 out of 10. I gotta say, this movie put a beautiful, poetic end to Michael Myers. Except not really, because
I have a sad story to tell you. It may hurt your feelings a bit. Last night when I walked in...
Look, I am not shy about critiquing Blumhouse. I've said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. They are what I call the king of concepts but the jester of execution. But once in a blum moon, they will put out a really good movie. Halloween 2018 was that. But of course, they had to wrong their right. The dialogue in this movie is not just worse, it's bad. And it's not just bad, it's shit. There's actually too much of it to point out, but just know the bad dialogue is the standard of this movie. But here are the true gems, in my opinion.
Hey, Frank?
Yeah?
There's a dead dog in here.
What?
Nothing.
This was a safe place and now it's not anymore.
You ever hear of Michael fucking Myers?
In the beginning, there's a laughably terrible scene that's supposed to take place during the original movie, complete with Dr. Loomis. And I would say this tarnishes his legacy, but, I mean, let's be honest, the legacy was already in pretty rough condition. I will say, though, they actually added Loomis in through practical effects. Like, Loomis is not like CGI. This is prosthetic makeup. It's actually kind of impressive. Too bad all that creative talent is wasted on this movie. So adult Tommy Doyle makes his comeback. He's not Paul Rudd this time, but that's okay. I'll let it slide. He gets on an open mic and just bums everybody out. He goes to an open mic, he gets up on stage, and then he just starts talking about murders for zero reason. He just starts talking about the Michael Myers murders. And it bums everybody out. Of course it would. What the fuck, dude? That's so stupid. So firefighters rescue Michael Myers because, of course, Laurie Strode, in her 40 years of planning, didn't think about the fire department coming to put out a fire. The firefighter fight scene was shot pretty well, but the choreography could have been way more exciting than it was. Now, admittedly, Michael's second kill sequence was actually really well done. In fact, it's the best thing about this movie. So Laurie is rushed to a hospital, where she is patched up good as new, and we see that this couple now lives in the Myers house. This will be important later. Okay, so in the last movie, Allison's boyfriend cheated on her, and then ruined her phone because he lashed out because he was like an insecure baby. And that was like the last time they interacted. And the first time she sees him in this movie, without any context of each other's situations, they talk about how Michael Myers is alive and then they hug. Like, let me just play you their last scene in the first movie and their first scene in this movie, just back to back.
Hey, Allison.
No, what was that?
Okay, what? What?
What was
okay,
that?
What?
What's this?
What, dude? Have some discretion, all right? I don't know what you thought you saw, but like, Kim literally was talking to me.
Really?
She came up to me and like whispered in my ear, okay, you don't have to cry about it. It's not that big a deal.
So Oscar got you fucked up?
No, I got me fucked up.
Okay.
Hey, okay, can you just talk? Okay.
Don't.
Okay, here, you know what? No. Your fucking precious phone?
What the fuck?
You gonna get that? Or you want me to get it? Allison, are you okay? I'm sorry. Allison,
Excuse me.
I'm so sorry. I just want to help in any way I can, okay?
He's still alive.
We're going after him. Me, my dad, you. If you want to come, we're joining Tommy Doyle.
Like, that's not organic at all. All right, then we got this scene here.
Michael Myers has haunted this town for 40 years. Tonight we hunt him down.
If you took a drink every time this movie name drops Michael Myers, you would explode. You'd be too full. Seriously, what purpose does this line serve? We know! Do you expect the audience to have forgotten why she's grabbing a gun? As if we're not watching this movie to see Michael Myers? Like, could you imagine if in The Empire Strikes Back, they found a way to mention Darth Vader in every other sentence? To say it pisses me off is genuinely an understatement. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, cringily name-dropping Michael Myers is not something new to this franchise, but this movie is going for the fucking franchise record. And I know I just went on a long rant off of a single piece of dialogue, but I'm about to do it again because literally a minute later, we get this Shakespearean piece of art.
Nobody ever took him seriously.
Who?
Dr. Loomis, Michael's first doctor. He knew a killer when he saw one.
First of all,
Nobody ever took him seriously.
Who?
Why would she say this out of context?
Nobody ever took him Seriously.
That first line only makes sense if they're already talking about Loomis. And second of all,
He knew a killer when he saw one.
yeah, no shit he knew Michael was a killer. He killed his sister. That's why Loomis was his doctor in the first place. There was actually zero thought going into this writing, except be sure to mention character people like. And then there's this scene. And I don't even know what to say about this scene. I don't even know what to say. This movie is something else, bro. This movie is something else. Okay, so Tommy Tough Knuckles Doyle goes to the hospital and gets a mob going. And something I kind of touched on in my name drop rant, but not fully. Michael Myers is this real spook to us because he's a horror icon. We've now seen him slash and murder in 10 different movies leading up to this one. We understand he's somewhat supernatural, but the characters in this timeline, he was some crazy kook that went on a brief killing spree 40 years ago and is now running rampant again. I think most people would let the cops handle it. I mean, it's just so silly. It's not a proper build-up at all. I mean, not to mention, Tommy sounds like a fucking lunatic. Evil dies tonight. That's the guy you're gonna rally behind? Okay, well, maybe that part's not totally unrealistic, but it's still bad writing. And to further illustrate my point, let's talk about the next scene involving the couple that now lives in the Myers house. Right after finding out somebody's broken into their house and trading a golf club for a knife the size of a French fry, they head upstairs to find the intruder. Michael kills one of them and the other guy runs up the stairs, leading to this moment.
You've come home.
I remember clear as day when I saw this in theaters. Right after this line was spoken, my friend turned to me and said, "It feels like they hated Halloween." And that really sums up my sentiment. This movie actually feels insulting to watch. It feels like a mockery of Halloween, and not like a fun satire like Scary Movie or even Scream for that matter, but rather a scornful parody. So after this, Tommy's mob drives an innocent man to suicide after mistaking him for Michael for absolutely no reason. Like, nothing about this guy was Michael Myers, and they just start savagely chasing after him because the real evil is the town. And look, I don't hate what they're going for. I hate how they're going about it. It's like they're chewing up the subtext, spitting it on a spoon, and saying, "Here comes the airplane!" Again, it feels insulting. So B-Team goes to the Myers house, gets chopped up, then Karen leads Michael to Tommy's mob where they kick his ass. To be honest, yes, this scene is pretty cool. Until he gets back up because evil. You know, the better Halloween movies imply that Michael has some sort of supernatural element to him, but they keep it vague. They keep you second guessing. But of course, subtlety is nowhere to be found in this movie. I have hate in my heart for this movie. It's getting a 1 out of 10. And that brings the franchise to a 3.75 out of 10. It's about time. Okay, so the opening for this film is actually really good. As I've stated before on this channel, dead kids are always a plus for me in horror. But also, I really like the way they use shadows in this scene. The cinematography is really well throughout this movie, really. Oh, and the dialogue wasn't dog shit atrocious. So an all-around step up from the last film. Immediately following the opening is like a recap, which is something that I'm not so much a fan of, but it's whatever. It's not something I'm raging over. I need a break from that anyway. So the guy in the opening that accidentally murdered a child, his name is Corey. He's a key player in this movie. He's a fucking dork, but that's fine. It's socially acceptable now. He's also dating Allison. Remember her from the last 2 movies? It'd be kind of embarrassing for you if you forgot about her. Also, really, really cool nitpick here. They got Don't Fear the Reaper grocery store edition.
Well, look who it is.
What? They're good for you.
Well, I like to mix meats and make croquettes for the guys at the station.
That just sounds disgusting.
I really love that detail. So this movie was actually pretty good up until the 35-ish minute mark. That's when it started to unravel. So Corey and Allison are on their first date, and they just have this entirely contrived fight. So what happens is Corey bumps into the mom of the kid he accidentally killed. Awkward. And then he runs out, and Allison chases after him.
Stop! Talk to me! Take me in there! Why I don't go out? What? You threw me in the middle of it. Where were you?
I didn't know what was happening in there. I was just trying to help you to just...
I'm not your fucking project, Allison!
Okay, I know. Okay, I know what it's like to have everybody looking at you, thinking that they know you, thinking that they know you, but they don't. But when I look at you, when I saw you the other day, I just saw a person just trying to figure it the fuck out. Trying to wake up every day not scared and alone.
But the difference, Allison, between me and you is that people look at me like, who is this guy? Who is this monster? And they look at you, like, they see you like a survivor. What are you talking about? I get it, you survived Michael Myers. You're a hero with your struggles, and ask anyone. I'm the psycho babysitter, I'm the fucking kid killer. And you think you can fix me, but you can't. I'll spare you the heartache.
And this fight just isn't earned yet. Like, Allison should be asking, hey, what's happening? And I feel like Corey blaming her for this otherwise good time just seems so fucking out of left field for his character. And in my opinion, it's not justified. And then immediately following that scene is another scene that is hard to watch. It's like a high school bully moment. Anyway, they push Corey off a bridge, then he's abducted and put into the sewers, then he's ambushed by Michael Myers, he escapes, and then he's ambushed by a crazy homeless dude, but then he kills him in self-defense, raising his accidental kill count to 2. So Corey runs to Allison to tell her he got jumped and apologizes, but kinda leaves out the part of, hey, Michael Myers is in the sewer. Hey, I know Michael Myers' exact location. Doesn't say none of that shit. He leaves that shit out. Anyway, they hang out. They go to the place where the kid died.
I heard what happened. I know it sounds crazy, but when people would talk about it, it was like I knew you. Like I was looking for you.
If you take out Allison's line here, this movie is better for it. I mean, come on, dude. They don't have history. They don't need history. This is such a cringy line. Just get rid of it. And I'm sorry. I know this is like the point. I know it's the point of the narrative, but Laurie is blamed for Michael Myers so much in this movie, and she doesn't talk back, and they never feel sorry for talking shit, and I know that might be the point, but it's lame. It makes me roll my eyes. It could have been done a little better. Or not at all, even. So Corey sacrifices some douchebag to Michael Myers, like he brings him down to the sewer. And this is cool on paper, but old man Michael seems to struggle with it until he kills the dude, and then he gets like rejuvenated. I feel like this feeds into like the paranormal thing that I was talking about. Like it's just too plainly supernatural. Like he goes from like an old man that's struggling to kill, all of a sudden he gets a kill and then he's stronger and more powerful. I mean, he's practically fucking Pennywise in this movie. Anyway, that's probably why Corey didn't tell anybody about Mikey's whereabouts. It's like his god now. So they spin the narrative of Corey becoming the next Michael Myers. And they do it in a kind of cheesy way, but the next kill scene is Corey literally teaming up with Michael Myers to kill a couple of people, and I honestly kind of dig it. It's kind of fun in a morbid way, seeing Michael being cooperative. It adds a layer to his character that we don't see in, well, any other movie. Laurie confronts Corey with some corny-ass "the evil within us" speech, and that was cringy, but at the same time, I thought it was a cool detail that after getting kicked out, Corey sleeps on the spot that the kid died. Oh my god, I am honestly so conflicted with this film, bro. It's like good and it's bad. It's both. Corey, the only man to befriend Michael Myers, goes to the sewers and wrestles with the old man. After he kicks his ass, he takes the mask. He goes on a little killing spree. This happens.
Stacy! Stacy's dead. You're dead too.
Why not just say, behind you, dude? I mean, seriously, who would say that to their friend? Oh my god, dude. Not every line of dialogue needs to be clever. Writers, if you're watching this video, I know nobody watches these fucking videos, but writers, if you're watching this video, not every line of dialogue needs to be cool, alright? Like, if you try too hard, you just come up with cringy shit like this, dude. Or even just like a facial expression, like she could have just like froze up and then, you know, he saw what, I do, whatever, I'm moving on. Look at this. Oh, first messages? These are your first messages? Actually, they've texted before, earlier in the movie. Plot hole, this movie ruined. This movie's ruined. -5 out of 10, -5 out of 10. So Corey goes to kill Laurie. which sounds like the start of a fucked up nursery rhyme. But he goes to kill her, and she pretends to kill herself to lure him out, which is so fucking badass. It was like such a really cool scene to see. I gotta say, I want to pause right here and just say the best thing to come out of this recent trilogy is old lady Laurie Strode. I think Laurie Strode in this trilogy is just so good. I mean, okay, maybe take out Halloween Kills, but dude, she is just such a badass character in these movies. So then Corey kills himself, and Laurie takes the knife from him, and then Allison walks in and is like, why'd you kill him? And Laurie's like, it's not what it looks like. But like, the fucking Michael Myers mask is lying right next to him. And also, it's not like she didn't fucking already shoot him twice in the chest. What if he died by that and Allison came home? Is she gonna still be like, it's not what it looks like? Like, if that's the case, then she actually did do it. I mean, it's just another unearned scene, dude. But then the man of the hour, Michael Myers, shows up. I'll be taking that. But then we get the classic Michael versus Laurie hide and seek game, which turns into this epic fight where they're kicking each other's asses. It's kind of like a fight at a retirement home. This ends with Laurie straight up crucifying Michael with the kitchen knives and gives this badass speech basically saying, you're not the boogeyman, you're just a dude that's about to die. Which would have been so cold and badass if they kept the supernatural elements of Michael Myers more ambiguous. Like, this line doesn't make sense because at this point we know he's basically a fucking demon or something. Then the whole town of Haddonfield shows up to watch his body get mangled up just to make sure he doesn't ever come back.
I've said goodbye to my boogeyman. But the truth is, evil doesn't die. It changes shape.
This movie ended really well, to be honest. I honestly think this movie would be a great end to the franchise, except most of this movie doesn't have anything to do with Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. But it more so centers around this new character, Corey. And that would be totally fine for a movie that wasn't called Halloween Ends. If this was like the middle movie in the recent trilogy, I would think much more highly of this trilogy. But this movie being centered around the idea of this Haddonfield nobody becoming the next Michael Myers is like if the last Friday the 13th movie was part 5. But look, there's things to like about this movie, there's things to dislike about this movie, and for that reason, I'm inclined to give it a 5 out of 10, but I think the last 10 to 15 minutes bumps it up to a 6 for me. So I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, and that brings the franchise to a 3.92 out of 10. Alrighty, that was the Halloween franchise. We're gonna round up that score to a 4 out of 10. This franchise gets a 4 out of 10. But before we go, let's rank all of these movies from worst to best. At number 13, we got Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills as in it sucks. As it like doesn't kill. Fuck this movie. At number 12, we got Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Halloween, too many Rob Zombie movies. Yeah, that one was good. At number 11, we got Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. I've got nothing for this one. Moving on. At number 10, we've got Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. My cousin Dylan Melton is calling me. What do you want?
Hey.
What's up?
Not much. Did you see my text?
No, I did not. I'm recording a YouTube video right now, and you're guest starring.
Hell yeah. What'd he do?
What? So number 9, we got Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Maybe he should have stayed where he was. I'm not doing good at this. Number 8, Halloween Resurrection. Hold on. I'm not doing these bits anymore, alright? I'm just gonna tell you. I don't have any bits written for this. I'm just gonna tell you guys, alright? I can't be funny all the time, you guys. At number 7, Rob Zombie's Halloween. At number 6, the original Halloween. At number 5, Halloween 2. At number 4, Halloween Ends. Number 3, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. At number 2, Halloween H20, 20 years later. And at number 1, my favorite Halloween film, Halloween 2018. Alright, hopefully you guys don't disagree with me because, I know how horror fans are.